Okay. So I'm going to download the final requirements here. Now this final project assignment is just the requirements. So the drawings are not here. The drawings are in the wireless switch assignment, which I'll show you in a second. So here we go. So what I'd like you to do, so for print requirements, I want you to create a PDF that is 22 by 34 inches, right? And that little bit of information is pretty key right now as you set up your final project, right? Because you're going to have to start setting up your sheets, right? And your title blocks. And so knowing what size your final print is going to be is pretty key, right? So I think a few of you made the mistake on the previous project that, you know, you created the 30 by 42 inch title block, you laid all your sheets out, everything looked great, and then you realized, hey, these sheets are too big, right? So I want these to be 22 by 34 printed. Yep.
The final project on Canvas says 11 by 17.
You're going to print 11 by 17.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Right? I want everybody to recognize that even if I create a PDF at 22 by 34, I can still print it at 11 by 17, right? I don't have to create a whole new set of title blocks and sheets to do that, okay? So you will create a PDF that's 22 by 34, but you will print an 11 by 17, okay? Title block information. Here's all the information I want you to fill out in the title block. Let me just say this, I will give extra credit for things that you do above and beyond what is outlined here, right? So if I say, you know, edit the title block so all of the Autodesk information is taken out, and you do that, but then you design your own logo and you add a couple of extra text fields and you redesign the title block to make it look even better than the one that is stock, I'll give extra credit for small things that you do like that to make your drawing set better, okay? So know that. Number one. Number two, I think that part of, you know, we have these set of rules that you have to kind of comply with as you work through this, and this is a general outline of it, right? But if you run into something that you feel like, hey, you know, this says to make it at an 1/8 inch scale, but at an 1/8 inch scale it's so tiny I can't even read it, right? I give you permission to sort of alter things so that they look correct on the sheet, right? So if you think, hey, 1/4 inch is better, you know, and it looks great on the sheet, and even though it says 1/8 inch in the instructions, 1/4 inch is better, I won't dock you for that kind of thing, right? I think part of this is sort of learning to recognize things in drawings and to kind of fix problems and make them look the way that they should, right? It's going to be part of your job when you go out in the real world, we'll call it the real world in quotes, right? And so I want you to be able to know that you can do that here. So if you see a problem, if you see something that could be made better, I want you to do that and know that you can do that, okay? So here's some title block information, right? The client's name, the project's name, the sheet names, right? You'll call them like floor plan, elevation, etc. The project number, the date for the project will be the day it's due, who drew this, who checked it. Just some general notes. Place all of the views on sheets in a neat and orderly manner, right? When I look at your drawings, I don't only look for content, I look for how nice they look on the sheet, right? Which may sound frivolous, but you know, it's pretty important, right? We want our drawings to be legible. We want the person who's building from these drawings to be able to make sense of them. So all of this kind of goes hand in hand. So it'd be great if you have a ton of content, but if it doesn't fit nicely on the page, if the scale is too big or too small, if the text isn't readable, if your leaders are confusing and cross over things so that they become unreadable, you know, the drawing just really is no good. So I look at content and I also look at readability, right? So make sure you place all your views on sheets and that they are neat and orderly. Don't cram views on sheets. It's okay to use extra sheets if needed, right? If you have to use 4 extra sheets, big deal, right? I think kind of back in the day, people tried to conserve, right? You want to have the fewer the sheets, the better, right? These days, I just don't know how, you know, valid that is anymore, because we can print as many as we want, and so anyway, and we have a tool that allows us to create them very easily. So if you have to add an extra sheet, it's not a big deal. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to also I'm going to post an example, I think, of a project from last year for the wireless switch. I hadn't done that yet, but I think I'm going to. I have a couple of pretty good examples of student work, right, that was performed at the exact same level you're at. So I'm going to post a couple of examples of student work, and that's why I say use provided sets for reference on what to show and what things look like. So you'll have the wireless switch drawing from Naylor Wentworth, and you'll also have some student drawings to look at to use as examples for what you want to put on your projects. Okay. Okay, so what drawings do we need in this set? And this is where I'm going to list it in the, I've thought about this since I posted it 10 minutes ago, right? Some more things to add. We're going to need a cover sheet. So 22 by 34. I'm going to let you read over all of these. I'm not going to go through everything on here. I'll let you read through it and let me know if you have questions, okay? But there will be examples of cover sheets in the assignments. So if you have a question on anything too, anything that I posted as an example, if you kind of copy it, I'm fine with that content. You're going to have a site plan, right? Site plan shows your topography, which you will create and make up. You're going to draw some property lines on there. You're going to show your little house on there, right? Or your wireless switch. I understand that at this point, you have a limited knowledge base of this, right? So my best advice on this is do the best you can, right? So we're going to have a site plan. First floor plan. Second floor plan. This is a 2-level building. We're going to have a reflected ceiling plan for the main level, a reflected ceiling plan for the upper level. We're going to have a roof plan. This is a flat roof, low slope. We'll say low slope roof, right? Building elevations, right? So exterior elevations. I want you to choose the 2 best exterior elevations for this project. Likely, like a front and a side elevation. Building sections. We briefly talked about how to create a building section. In going over this in class, this will be likely next week, but I'll show you again how to create a building section, right? How to drag these onto a sheet, how to make them look nice. We'll go over a lot of this, right? Okay, so one building section that runs perpendicular, right? And one that runs parallel the length of the building. So a transverse and a longitudinal building section. There's not going to be, you guys are, again, just beginning. There's not going to be a huge amount of information on your drawings, right? You look at the wireless switch that Naylor Wentworth provided, they have a ton of detail, right? And trust me, you'll get there. But we're not there yet. So don't get overwhelmed with how much content is on the Naylor Wentworth set. They probably worked on those for a year. So they've got a lot of people with a lot of knowledge. So you're just learning this, right? We want to get the basics set out. And then you'll, when you're working, you'll progress from there. I'll show you how to do a stair section. Is exactly like a building section, right? It's just a different scale. So we'll do a stair section. We'll talk about wall sections, right? I think these 3 areas, the section, the stair section, the wall section, I think you know how to generate them, but I'm not entirely sure you know how to make them look really nice, right? So we'll talk about how to crop them, how to make them the right scale, how to make them look good on your sheets, okay? So this is where, when I said maybe we don't have a lot of new content, but we'll go over things that maybe we breezed over pretty quickly. I'm going to allow extra credit on this, and I will say, well, I hate to use the word unlimited, right? But if you want to generate extra drawings within reason, you can get extra credit for doing that. If you want to do interior elevations, if you want to do extra exterior elevations, if you want to generate furniture plans, right? I'll give you extra credit for all of those things, okay? And let's say that for every completed sheet that you create, you get 5 extra credit points, okay? That doesn't mean that you put one little tiny thing on a sheet and you add 30 of them, right? They have to be completed sheets, and they have to be full of drawings, meaning, exterior elevations are not that large. You could probably put, 15 or 20 of them on a sheet. Maybe you have 4 to 6 interior elevations and an enlarged plan for extra credit, right? But I will give you extra credit, if you want to continue going further with your drawings, okay? So let's count these up. We have, how many sheets are we going to need? We have a cover sheet, 1 site plan, first floor plan, second floor plan, main RCP, Second RCP, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have about 10 or 11 sheets that you're going to have to generate, and I'll make a list of those with numbers so that that's not confusing, okay? So your task will be to model the project, create the floor plan, the RCP, the sectional views, right, the site views, and then you're going to have to generate about 10 or so different sheets, okay? And again, we'll start this in class and we'll work through a lot of it in class so that you can kind of work with me if you want during class, follow along, or, you know, I can show you and get you going, and then, you know, we'll spend about an hour working, and then you'll have another hour to kind of work in class, right? You can kind of copy the same content that we just went over. How does that sound? Good? Or is there something else you guys would like to talk about? Everybody's very quiet today. Okay. I think the best way to get to know Revit is just to work through a project, right? And you don't know a whole lot, and I do, and so I think, you know, watching somebody who knows how to do it is really helpful. It was very helpful for me, at least. All right, so here's the project assignment. Okay, and again, it's open for interpretation. If you see something that you feel like needs to be changed a little bit, you know, change it. This is here, Wireless Switch Final Project PDF, okay? If I go back to assignments, I have my wireless switch right underneath that, okay? If I click on that, here are the drawings that we are going to be using, okay? So I'm going to click on that. Show in folder, I'm going to grab that, where did it go? Wireless switch. Okay. I'm going to create a folder. I think maybe my first step in this entire process, right, will be to create a folder. So, new folder, and we'll call this Final Wireless Switch. Okay. And in here, I'm going to save everything that I need. So there's that PDF with the drawings, right? Really helpful to kind of have in a place on hand that I know where they're at. I'm going to drag those in here. There they are. And another thing that might be helpful for me to have would be the instructions, right? So if you wanted to download the instructions, you could also do that. Okay, let's see. Click on that. Download that, Wireless Switch Final Project. Copy. And then, oop. Paste that in here. There we go. Now, I don't have a CAD file to start this project with, right? Sometimes you're given a CAD file and you link it in and you trace over the top of it, but with this project we don't have that. And so we're going to have to look at the wireless switch drawings, and we're going to have to determine how big all of these items are, right? And we have floor plans, and we have sections, and we have elevations to kind of determine what everything looks like. Yep. Can you convert it to a CAD file? Convert these PDF drawings? Can you do that? Can you convert it straight over to a CAD file? If you want to, you want to trace it? Go for it. Do you mean you can bring it into AutoCAD and trace over it? Is that what you're saying?
Bring it into AutoCAD and switch it from PDF.
Okay, yeah. It's fine with me. Yeah, you still have to draw it in Revit. So you guys need to get to know Corey, right? If you want to do that, that's fine, right? It might help you get it dimensionally correct. Part of this too is, you know, there are going to be times where you get a set of drawings like this. You know, you have a client that comes in and says, hey, you know, I have this existing Smith's supermarket, right? We want to turn it into an aquarium. And so they'll drop off a giant roll of drawings, and they'll say, hey, you know what, draw these. So if you can put it in AutoCAD and change it to AutoCAD, great. If you want to draw these from the as-builts, fine with me. Okay, so we have a lot of information here, right? And let's get going, right? You can print these drawings if you'd like, right? This set is 17 pages, and it looks as if it's 24 by 36, right? I don't think I'd print the entire set, but if you'd like to print like this sheet, right, which has elevations and sections on it, maybe the floor plans, right? I think that'd be pretty helpful. You can plot them on the OSE and you can take them home with you, right? You can use a highlighter to highlight things that you've drawn and gotten correct. But usually as I'm working through things like this, I will kind of just drag it over to the side on my second monitor, right? And I will zoom in very close to it and I will draw it from using 2 screens, okay? All right. Before we get going, does anybody have any questions? Here's the hardest part of any project, right? Getting started. Sitting down at your computer and getting started. Yep.
I have one question.
Yep.
So you've already created a template or you've done another set of drawings.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't use that set of drawings, right? Because you've loaded things into it.
What you would do is you know, professionally you would have a Revit template file. Just like in AutoCAD, you created a template file. You would have created the same thing professionally. And you would use that file to start your projects, essentially. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, let's get going on this then. All right. So I'm going to open up Revit. Hopefully my voice holds out today. It's failing me. Okay. And if you have a template that you've created, great. You know, if you don't, I think it'd be fine just to start with the architectural template. Okay. First thing I'm going to do, File, Save As. And I created a new final wireless switch. And I'll call this and I'm going to go to options and I'm just going to make sure I only have 3 backups there. I was looking at an old project I'd worked on a long time ago and I must have not been paying attention because I literally have 30 backup files. Or maybe it was, now that it says 3, maybe I accidentally just hit 30 right there. But I was looking in that and I thought, wow, lots of backup files. I hit save. Okay, so now it's time for me to get started, right? So I'm going to immediately just start kind of looking at my drawings, right? So I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to look at this and first of all, I'm going to make sure that I, have oriented myself. And I've got all my sections, I've got my elevations, we've got our upper level plan, we've got our lower level plan here. And let's see, what is the difference between these two, right? We've got, this looks like, okay. We've got some interior elevations here, we've got some sections. These are our finishes, okay, good. There we go. So these are just our regular old floor plans, all right? Okay, so I think I'm just gonna start on my lower level plan and I'll probably run into some things, I'm not super familiar with these. I haven't seen them since spring, so it's been a while since I've even looked at them. And so I wanna, I'll run into things that maybe don't work and we'll have to go back and change things, right? But in general, right, I've got an exterior wall, right? Kind of runs along here, very simple. We've got a little vestibule where you enter. Okay, this looks good. We've got a room here. We've got restrooms. We have a stair. We've got custodial back here. Entry into the tech room. We've got offices right here. We've got storage right here. we'll have to look at our elevation here. I'm not quite sure what that enclosure is right there, right? We might have to put some storefront or something in there to enclose that. Upper level is fairly open. We've got offices up here, office, lab, you know, the stairwell is enclosed. Roof access, men and women's rooms, right on top of these men's and women's rooms, right? We've got a hallway, a break room, and we have a stair out here. Okay, so it looks pretty good. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish probably how tall my heights are, right? So we're going to have to find somewhere in this drawing set that shows me heights because, you know, I probably can assume that my main level is at 0, right? But I have an upper level and I also have a roof level. Now, I can define these levels and get going on my project, and then if I have to alter them a little bit because I find something that, you know, shows me something about the project, then I can alter it a little. But I'm just going to kind of get going by trying to find some levels and define those. So it doesn't look like we really have, it's kind of odd. Doesn't look like we have very many on our building sections here. So I'm going to go to my wall sections and see what I can find. I think this is a good exercise too because you'll get pretty familiar with a set of drawings and how you have to navigate them, right? All right, so now, okay, here we go, pretty good. I'm starting to now see some dimensions. So I've got 0 for my main level, we'll just say that. 15 foot forward to the upper level finished floor, great. And then I've got 31 foot forward to the top of the masonry, of that masonry wall. Okay, so, you know, I don't really have the roof line, but, you know, I can look at this and say, well, to the top of the masonry, it's 31 foot 4, and I've got 1, 2, maybe 2 or 3 masonry blocks down is where the ceiling hits, right? So I have to kind of gather from information that's here what's happening. Okay, does that make sense to everybody so far? All right. So, oh, and we have a foundation. See foundation plans. Okay. So I'm gonna define my main level and my upper level first. Okay. So I'm gonna go to my north elevation. Level 1 is 0. Main level. Okay, level 2. Great. Okay, so from level 1 to level 2 is 15 foot 4. I'll post this video online too, so if you want to go home afterwards and kind of copy what we've done, right, you can do that. So 15 foot 4. And again, you know, my PDF doesn't exactly say where my roof or my ceiling or top of structure is up here. It just says to the top of that masonry wall, it's 31 foot 4. So we'll take it for now, right? Again, I have to remind myself, especially after using AutoCAD for so many years, right? The idea behind Revit is that you kind of get things in the general position they need to be, and then you revise them, right? So we get it where it kind of needs to be, and then a few steps down the road, we revise it to where it actually needs to be, right? So I'm going to create a level, architecture, level, click. And I'm going to draw another level. Again, it's not perfect. Okay, but I know that 31 foot 4. There we go. And this is going to be called top of parapet. Okay. So for now, well, no, let's add a foundation wall, right? And I don't really, here's my first thing that I have to kind of guess, you know. We don't have all of the drawings for this project, I don't believe. I don't think we have foundation drawings. We don't, okay. And so, you know, I'm gonna have to look at this foundation plan because I don't have, you know, any drawings so far. And I'm gonna have to guess. This is our first guess, right? And I'm gonna look at that and say, well, I don't have foundation plans. You could ask me about it, right, if you have questions. I'm going to look at it and say, let's say our foundation to the bottom of the foundation is 30 inches, right? I'm just going to make that assumption knowing that the frost line, our frost depth is, we're safe at 30 inches. And so we're just going to guess that that's 30 inches below. Okay. It's an awfully large footing. They must have some bad soil. Okay. So architecture, this project doesn't have a basement. Lucky you, right? Level. And we will call this foundation. So from our main, we'll say from our main level here, let's just do 3 feet. We'll just round it up, right? We'll be careful. We'll call this 3 feet down. So from here to here is -3. Okay. So we've established our vertical datums, right? So now the reason we defined our vertical datums first was so that we could start defining our walls with base and top constraints, right? If you would have gone to immediately start drawing walls, you would have found that, oh, I don't have, where's my main level at and where's my upper level at, right? So immediately I go in and I define my vertical datums, okay? The next, I have 2 other things on my list of I need to get these done before I start, okay? One of them is just habit from working in an office for so long, right? I've said this before. Clients pop in all the time, right? You probably know this, right, Corey? Clients will just like be on their way to lunch and stop in and see you. And they'll say, hey, can you print me a set of drawings real quick? I just want to see where we're at. Like, sure, that's great. That is great. So my personal preference is I always start setting up a couple of drawing sheets immediately, right? So I set up my vertical datums, I set up my drawing sheets so that if somebody asks me to print quickly, I have a few of them ready to go, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up some wall types so that I have a wall system that is correct, ready to draw, vertical datums to define that wall system, and I have some drawings that are ready to have views put on them so that I can print. While we're in our drawing mode, I guess I should say, I might just define a couple of walls, okay? And then I'll set up some sheets. And again, some of this will come with you working, drawing, drafting, right? But immediately I know that I'm going to go back to the floor plan first. And I'm going to somewhat look at this drawing and look at how many types of walls I have, right? So I'm going to look here and say, oh, okay, I've got this exterior wall, and this is a wall tag. It tells me it's H. All right. And I have this wall tag that says C. I've got G, K, G, K. There's a D, a C, a B. So I have maybe, 5, 6, maybe 10 different wall types. But for now, really, I'm going to kind of focus on this exterior for now. Okay, so I'm going to maybe create this wall type, which is H. I want to simplify this for you guys, actually. I think we're only going to do 3 wall types. Let's do that, yeah? Okay.
Sounds perfect.
All right. So we're going to have our exterior wall type. Hey, you gotta do it. You gotta do, right? All these requirements we have to adhere to. So we're gonna have one wall type that's gonna be the exterior wall. It's gonna be block with probably a metal stud furring it out. Wall type 2 will be an interior wall like this. It's block, and we're just gonna say it's bare. We're not gonna have any drywall or anything on that, right? It'll be exposed to the interior. And we'll have a third wall type, which will be a drywall, like a metal stud with drywall on both sides, okay? We're not gonna worry about thicknesses for plumbing or different finishes or fire ratings, all those silly things, right? Which is your specialty, I guess, right? Fire, fire sprinkling. So we'll have 3 wall types. Let me make a note of all the things I'm saying here. Hold on, I'm gonna go grab my notebook. I'll make these I'll put these notes in my assignment. project changes. We're only going to have 3 wall types. The exterior, bare interior, and a drywall partition. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now, with that said, so we'll just do H. A rendition of L. L, no drywall. And then we'll do probably B. Only a partition. Okay. That's good. Now, the nice thing about this is that we are only going to do the 3 wall types. What's nice about this is that we have definition of these wall types. So if I look at H, right? If I come here to the, I have a wall, this is finished floor plans. Oop, wrong, right? But if I look here, I have an H. Hey, Brian. And H tells me exactly what this wall assembly is made of. So I can see here I have a CMU wall, it's 8 inch. I have 1 inch between masonry and the studs. I have, there's foam, we're not gonna worry about the foam. I have a 3 5/8 inch metal stud here, and then I have my gypsum board, okay? So what's nice about this is that, you know, even if you don't know what that wall assembly is, or you're not familiar with any type of construction at this point, right? You can go here, look at the plans, and see how you can define your wall assembly in Revit, okay? So I'm gonna define my first wall type as H. I'm gonna go to my main level here, and I am going to go to wall, and I'm going to look for a wall type that maybe has CMU in it. CMU and metal stud, okay. Brick on CMU, CMU insulated, that looks promising. CMU on metal stud, even better. So I'm going to hit edit type. I'm going to duplicate this, and we will call this wall type. I would just designate them so I know they're different from the ones in the Revit model. Maybe wall type, maybe we'll just do H because it's H in the drawing set. Okay, edit the structure. We've got, okay, so we have a bunch of things here, maybe not exactly how we want them. So we're gonna alter the structure of this, okay? I'm looking on my other screen and I have the wall type. So my core structure here is gonna be my gypsum board. Or not my, sorry, my gypsum board, the CMU. I'm gonna move that down. And just do what the wall type says. 7 5/8 is more correct, but we're just gonna do whatever the wall type says here, 8 inches. Okay, and so that's on the interior side, right? And then we do have a metal stud, but the metal stud is on the exterior side of the CMU, so I'm gonna move that up. So I have CMU, according to wall type H, I have CMU, then I have an inch air gap, we'll say air gap, and then we have a stud and then gypsum board. We're just gonna call it that. So I've got my metal stud, I'm gonna move that up. I'm gonna insert a layer here. Okay. We're gonna make this air. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. This is kind of tricky. Thermal or air layer, right? Because we have CMU, we have an inch gap, and then we have our metal stud. So a thermal air layer, if I click on the material, you guys notice that there's air as a material. Isn't that magic? Okay, and we'll make it 1 inch because that's what we have a, or you could have said we have an inch of insulation or whatever, right? But there's going to be an inch gap there. We have our air gap. We have a metal stud here. We'll just call this metal stud layer. Okay. And it's 3 5/8. Enter. And then we've got,
Sheathing should delete.
yeah, we're gonna delete the sheathing. Interesting. So we'll click on that. This is basically our whole skill set, right? So this is good seeing it all over again. Membrane, I'm not gonna worry about our membrane. You could leave it there. We do have a vapor barrier in there. It's 0 width, fine, it's not doing anything, right? Hold on a
Number 1
sec.
air can go away.
What's that?
Number 1 air can go away.
Number 1 error.
Layer
This?
1.
Oh, membrane. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Yep. I think I'm looking at this and it looks, I think I did these a little bit opposite though. So the exterior, this is exposed CMU. So the CMU is going to be on the exterior side and the metal stud is going to be on the interior side. So I put it in the wrong place, right? I wasn't paying attention. So I'm going to move this, see how it's on the exterior side. I'm going to move it down to the interior side. So never fear, right? If you do it accidentally, put them in the wrong spot, they are pretty easy to fix. Let's see, so I've got my CMU, which is 8 inches it's showing. I've got my inch of air gap, I've got my metal studs 3 5/8, and then I've got my vapor barrier there. If I want to leave it, that's fine. We'll take out this one, delete, and then gypsum wallboard, commercial application 5/8, right? Okay. So I've just I've just defined my first wall type. Okay. Oop, what have I done? Oh, finish 1 on the interior side. Oh, what have I done? Okay, here's a good lesson, right? Let's see. That is structure. I wasn't paying attention to that either. Thermal air, structure. Oh, I'm just gonna, because this metal stud layer, it is technically structural, right? But it is outside of the core boundary, so Revit is not liking it very much. I'm gonna call it a substrate. Oh, layer 4. This is why I don't move things around. I'm just gonna create new ones. There we go. Air. There we go. And it's 1 inch. And then I've got my metal stud. I think it's having a hard time with the metal stud not being structure, but hopefully this will work out. Okay. Okay, that's good. And then we've got our insert down. And we're going to call this our finish.
Would it be metal furring instead? Or is that something different?
Yeah, I don't think it's, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I don't think Revit is drawing a connection between substrate and metal stud. Like, it's not saying, does that make sense? It doesn't draw a connection necessarily between these two. It doesn't say, you know, this means that. So I don't think that is the error. But I'm getting a lot of weirdness. Oh, there we go. 2, 3, 4, thermal air layer. Hopefully that'll work. One area within these wall assemblies that I always get kind of errors in is usually in the membrane layer, actually. So I'm surprised I'm getting one in the air. Layer 4, layer function cannot ascend from the core boundary. We're just going to call this insulation then. I'm going to cheat. I cheated it a little. So instead of calling it an air, like an actual air or thermal layer, I just changed it to, didn't I change it to substrate? Structure, substrate, one of the two. I actually kind of want it substrate. There we go. Right? So it's showing a substrate is air, 1 inch, substrate is 2, metal stud layer, finish, layer 2, gypsum wallboard, 5/8 of an inch, right? So I've got my wall assembly there. Okay. So what our wall assembly looks like, oh, I don't have anything there. I don't have any definition on my wall. I don't see any lines. I'm going to change my coarseness to medium. Okay, now I'm seeing it. I'm going to shade my view. Looks good. This is my CMU block, right? This is my little air barrier, air gap right there. I've got my metal stud furring, and then I have my gypsum board. Okay. Now, when I did this, I left out, you know, things weren't functioning, and I left out my air barrier, right? So what are sort of ramifications of leaving out my air barrier? Well, not really any in planning, I guess. Planning meaning my wall thickness, right? Your vapor barrier is going to be a 0 width. It's just going to be a little piece of plastic that they staple up or whatever, tape up, right? So in the whole scheme of things, it's not going to affect my wall assembly. If I leave that out, what's going to be affected is my ability to account it into like an area takeoff for square footage cost, right? So if somebody say the sub who's doing the, you know, doing that, they say, well, we want to know how, you know, how much is in the project, and you didn't put it in your wall assembly, you know, I guess you could technically still schedule your walls and figure out how much square footage of walls you have, right? But that would kind of be one of the ramifications of not including the quote air barrier within your wall assembly. Okay. But I have my wall here, and it looks pretty good. That's what I had wanted, okay? I'm not going to do all the wall definitions right now, but what I would do is I would define my other 2 wall types, right? So I'm going to have a wall type that is just the bare CMU, right? So that'd be wall type whatever. And then I'm going to have a 3rd wall type that would have a metal stud and gypsum board on both sides, okay? So those will be my 3 wall types. Okay, I'm going to come back here to my drawings. Let's go back to our drawing set here. So there's a couple ways I could start my drawings, right? Corey knows AutoCAD, and so he's like, I'm just going to bring the PDF into AutoCAD, and I'm going to make AutoCAD lines, and I'm going to link the file into my Revit file, and then I'm going to trace.
It doesn't have elements. It doesn't have layers. So.
It doesn't have layers? What do you mean? Oh, the PDF?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well. Okay, so that is one valid way of going about it, right? You could, I've never been really successful at that.
Newer stuff is becoming easier and easier.
Maybe that's why.
Older stuff, anything that's scanned in.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It has to be
smart, have the layers in it.
Yeah.
But that'd be a valid way of working, right? Somebody gives you a CAD file, you want to trace over the CAD file, or you can very quickly generate a CAD file, fine with me, right? You can link it in or import it in and trace over the top of it. We'll have to go the old-fashioned route, right? Where we have to kind of figure out the building and what dimensions there are. Now this building has a set of structural grids, right? And an easy way of kind of setting this project up would be to create my grids, and then I could draw my walls according to my grid, right? So I'm going to create some grids, and I'm just going to pop this onto my second screen over here. Because you think, oh, a grid, wait a minute, that's extra work, right? But in fact, it's really going to kind of help guide you through the whole project. I'm going to click on grid, and I'm just going to draw my first segment. Okay, we'll call this A. And then CO, copy. This is going to be 10 foot. Between those two is B. I have another 10 feet, CO, 10 feet, there's C. Between C and D, there's 10 feet, CO, another 10 feet. And then between D and E, we've got 30 feet. Okay. It looks like there's it. Then we have the horizontal grid, so we've got 1. Oop. We want all of our bobbles to show. I'm going to copy that down, CO, between 1 and 2. Oh, I can't read it. My little 4 inches. Okay, so between grids 1 and 2, we have 4 inches. CO, copy down, 0, 4. Oop, they overlap, so I'm going to grab number 2 and I'm going to hit this little elbow click and pull them apart so they're readable. One, 2. Okay, time to do 3. CO, copy, click, move in the direction I want to go. We have 16 foot 4. And between grid 3 and 4, we have 16 foot 8. And between 4 and 5, 16 foot 8. Between 4 and 5, and between 5 and 6, we have 8 feet. Okay. Looks pretty good, right? Looks pretty good. I probably drew it a little off center because I didn't know exactly how far it was going to expand over. So before I draw anything, I'm going to just drag all this into the center. I selected everything, right? I just drag it where I want it to go. You don't want to do that after you've drawn anything. It will mess everything up. But right now, my grid is set up, right? Okay, before I get going, I'm going to dimension this grid. Annotate. The shortcut for dimension is DI, so I hit DI all the time. But I'm just going to dimension these, and I'm going to do that so that, you know, visually I can connect sizes, and visually I can see if something is off, right? So 4 inches, 16 foot 4, 16 foot 8, and immediately I'm thinking it's right, but I'm thinking, oh, was that actually 16 foot 4, right? And it was. So grid looks pretty good. It's dimensioned. I'm going to hit save. Save all the time. You don't want to lose any work. And it does happen every semester without fail. Okay. So I've got my grid situated. Now I'm going to look at my project and start drawing a few things, right? And it won't go perfectly, of course, right? But I'm going to try and get it the best I can, but it won't go perfectly. But I'm going to look here and see that my CMU starts at grid 1A, and it goes all the way over to, gosh, it looks like not quite lining up with the exterior of E. It does look like it's there, though. Huh. We're going to totally find all the errors in these drawings, right? Okay, that looks okay. There we go. All right. So it goes from A to E, and then from 1 all the way down to, well, 5. That exterior wall goes to 5. The vestibule comes out to 6, but I'm going to do the vestibule a little bit later. And then that exterior wall goes like that. Okay, so basically we have just a nice gigantic square, of course, right? Okay, so these walls go switching back and forth, getting a good picture of what is happening here. Those walls go from main level, right? We're gonna not worry about this. We're gonna bring our floor in, but this exterior wall is gonna go all the way up to the top of masonry, the top of masonry right here. Okay. Okay. So my first inclination, I want to make sure that everything looks good, so I'm going to go into a 3D view, WT, get my 3D view. Oh, there we go. Get my 3D view. There's nothing in it right now, but 3D view in the same screen as my main level here. So I'm going to come up here to wall just so I can get something in my project. Basic wall type H. And I want to draw this from the finished face of the exterior because that, you know, that exterior face of the CMU is on that outside face. And we are going to go from here, click. And I want this to go from the main level, oop, I already made a mistake, main level, all the way up to top of the parapet, or top of masonry. And I'm just gonna start drawing. And if I have to revise a few things, great, click. If I don't, great. And this goes down to 5, right? Over here. Click. There we go. And over here I've got the basic outline of my building. Okay. Save. It's a big step, right? Now I'm going to look here and I want to get that little vestibule in, of course. Before I do that actually though, before I figure out how that vestibule works and where everything goes, I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I defined a wall type, I drew, I created a grid, but I forgot to set up a few sheets, right? So I think what I want to do is I want to set up a few sheets. And so I'm going to come down to sheets right here. I'm going to right click, new sheet. And I only have a 30 by 42 right here. So I'm going to click load. I'm going to go down to title block. And we have a 22 by 34 sheet right there. I'm going to hit open. Make sure I click on that one. Again, this is pretty crucial, right? This is setting the size for your drawing layout, right? So if you choose the wrong title block size, when you go to lay everything out, if you've chosen the wrong title block, you'll have to relay everything out when you go to print. I'm going to hit OK, and I just created a drawing sheet. Okay. So here is where, I'll create give me a day to create the drawing list for you. If it were me, I would create all of my drawing sheets all at once, right? But we'll call this okay, this will be, let's call this okay, so, and you'll fill all this stuff in. So this will be AE 101. Okay, now part of this will be to get rid of the Autodesk garbage, right? So title block is a family. To get rid of the Autodesk garbage, I'm going to click on it, or if I double click twice very quickly, it pops me into the family editor, or if I click on it and hit edit family, it pops me in there as well. So I can click delete, click delete, click delete. You can add your own logo, you can put text in here, you can design it how you want it to look. Meaning, if I want to get rid of this line and that line because I don't like it, you know, go for it. Right? So we'll get rid of some of this stuff. If you want to fill it in, put a project name and text right there. That's great. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that. Delete, delete, TR, trim. And maybe I put my little logo in here. Let's find a logo. Let's see what an image looks like. We want a logo. What are these cool graphics, huh? Okay. Getting sidetracked. Let's see. We'll grab this logo. That's not what I wanted. Desktop. And I'm going to save it. Desktop. I've got my wireless switch project. There we go. So insert, image, open, click. There's my little logo, right? I can delete that. I can get rid of, you know, just design it however you want to design it. If you want to design it, I guess I should say. And I could put some text in here that, you know, when I'm done, I can choose to load into project and close. And it saves over the top.
Wait, how did you insert that in there?
I'm going to click on it, hit edit family. Now here's the thing about families and title blocks and different things like that, right? I can edit the original, and I click load into project and close. So if I load into project and close, let's say I've made a change, right? I've deleted that pesky timestamp. So I know what time you really printed your drawings, right? Load into project and close. If I do that, it says, hey, you've made a change. Do you want to load this and close it and not save it? And if you say yes, or sorry, no, don't change it, then it doesn't alter the original. It leaves the original as is, but it loads into your project and changes what's there. So you see me hit no because I know that it loads in here and overrides that, and if I want to edit it or save it, I can hit edit family and it opens the current version that I have, right? But it leaves the original alone so that if I wanted to go back and get the original and not have changes, then I could. Okay, load into project and close.
But, so do you right click insert the picture?
Oh, so when I hit edit family and I found my picture, right? And I went into insert image. Yeah, and found my title block logo, hit open, clicked and placed it. And you can make it larger, smaller, however you want it. And when I'm done changing it, right? Load into project and close. Do I save it? No, I personally don't ever save it because, you know, I want the original to maintain its integrity, right? And I have a copy of it in here. You're like, well, there's no saved copy of it. Well, the saved copy is in your file, essentially. And I can click this and reopen it and alter it and save it if I needed to. All right, so I've got my main level floor plan here, right? Let's click new sheet. Now I have my title block here, 22 by 34. I hit OK, and we'll AE 102. This will be the level 2. And just for consistency, because that drives me crazy, right? Main level floor plan. Level 2. When I worked at AJC, we had there was an architect that he did quality control in the office, and so this one guy, he reviewed every single set of drawings that went out of the office from beginning to end, right? He worked like crazy, and his big pet peeve was if people didn't name all of their titles consistently. So you'd get all these red marks like you forgot to say level 2 floor plan instead of level 2 plan or whatever. Now it's ingrained, right? All right, so 101, 102, right? You'll create all of your sheets, right? And I look at my main level now, and I somewhat have kind of a nice floor plan going. I know the extent of my floor plan, right? I know it's not going to really get any larger than this, okay? And let me just say this. We're going to do this piece. Let's not worry about this piece, the existing here. We're just going to do this new piece. Let's kill that portion. But I know the extent of my floor plan now, so it wouldn't be unheard of to say, hey, let's put it on a sheet and let's see what scale this works best at so that all of my other floor plans, etc., I can start putting it the right scale from the beginning, right? So I'm going to go to my sheet, grab my level, main level, click. That's pretty good. Now if I wanted to play around with scale, right, maybe this needs to be at 1/4 of an inch. Let's look. Probably too big. Well, maybe. Ooh, that one's a tough one, huh? I could squeeze these back a little. Bring this in. Actually, a 1/4 of an inch is probably not too bad. 1/8 of an inch is, I feel like, slightly too small. Okay. I might have to bring my little elevation markers in here a tiny bit. Right, this one's marginal. It's like slightly too small at 1/8, slightly too big at 1/4, right? But I think I'd rather see it a little bit larger so that it's easy to read on the page. Let's look at see what scale they have it. Oh, they've got main level and so this is for sure an 1/8. Okay. So they decided to put both levels on the same page, which is valid, right? But I think I'm gonna choose to do 1/4. If you want to do 1/8, then do both on the same page. That's okay too. I think this is a little more readable for the floor plan. All right, so I have my level 1 floor plan ready to go. Okay, and now I'm going to go back to my floor plan here. Continue drawing. If I go to a 3D view, right, WT, there we go. All right, so now I want to create my vestibule. So I'm going to go back to my floor plan here, lower level floor plan, and I'm going to see that my vestibule comes and it pops out and it goes over and it goes back, right? This wall does extend into the space. Oops. But what I'm kind of mainly concerned about right now is getting this vestibule just to kind of come out where it needs to be. Now, where does this vestibule start and stop? Is it just at the main level, right? Or does it go all the way to the second level? Well, let's look. Okay. So this line right here is indicating level 2. Our little vestibule does not quite meet level 2. So let's see if we can find where it goes to. We have a section somewhere. Okay. And if not, we're going to go the old-fashioned route, right? Upper level. Well, that's not very helpful, right? Ah, okay. So here's my little vestibule, and I don't have any dimensions on it, right? But what do I have? I have my masonry. So I may not have a dimension from here to the top of my wall, unless do you guys see one? That's the door. Bottom of masonry. I don't know where that wall section's being taken from though. It's probably about 10 feet to there. But what I can do is I can look at the masonry and I can count. So I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right, so I have 18 times by 8 inches tall, so it's about 12 feet tall. All right, so you know what this means? It means I'm gonna have another level. Means that I have my vestibule, so I have my main level, I have level 2, top of parapet, but I also have my, my vestibule level. So I'm gonna have to create a new level. And I'm going to place it somewhere in here. and I'm going to call it vestibule parapet. And of course it interferes with my beautiful, there we go. And this is going to be 12 foot. Okay, right? You know, thinking about this, you know, I was new at this at one point, and in my mind I would have thought, well, how do I get it to be 12 feet tall? Well, you know, I could go to my main level and I could define a wall to go from main level, unconnected at the top, to 12 feet tall in height. Great, right? That's one way of doing it without creating a level. But if I don't create a level and it changes, right, then I have to remember that I have that vestibule that doesn't have a top constraint that's connected to anything, right? So you could go the unconnected route, make it 12 feet tall, and then forget about it. And then when your client makes a change, you know, you think, well, oh, I have to remember to change that parapet. Or I could define a level that is kind of comprehensive, meaning if I change that one element and anything else is related to it, then it changes it, right? It kind of gathers everything related to it. So it's better to create a level for that type of thing in case there's something else that is of that same height, that if one thing changes and the other has to, they correlate. Okay, so now I'm going to draw my little vestibule. It is it goes between grids, let's see, oh, it starts at grid, we have grid line D here, and it goes over, it's 8 feet wide, and it goes from grids 5 to 6, essentially. 6 is its endpoint. So I'm going to, let's see, between 5 and 6. Okay, and it starts at D. So my little vestibule kind of lives right here, right? So I'm going to click on this wall type because it's going to start with this wall type. I could have typed wall or WA, right? And I could have found the wall type I wanted, which is a pain in the neck. I don't like searching for things. Instead, I clicked on the wall type I knew it was going to be, and I'm going to choose create similar. And I'm just going to draw this. So it goes from, I'm going to drop from finish face exterior, click, to there. Okay. And I'm not going to get it perfect the first time. I know it goes about 8 feet.
That's the wrong spot. It starts on D and C.
Oh, wait, what? D? Oh, you're right, D. Whoops. Move that right on over there. Now, another thing I forgot to do, right, is I forgot to, after I went through all of that hubbub about top and bottom constraints, right, I didn't constrain it. So it goes from main level to vestibule parapet too, right? So we're starting to see it happen right there. And I'm going to create similar, D. I hit spacebar to flip my wall if it's not going the right side, you know, and I'm going to make it 8 feet, but then I'm going to finish it. Then once I've done this, I don't really know where it measured from, right? I don't think it measured 8 feet from the outside of this wall. I think it measured from the center line. So I'm going to pull a quick dimension, DI, and make sure that from outside to outside, oh, it did. Okay, good. It's 8 feet. All right. Now, the way that this looks like it works, right? We're going to try and get this as close as possible, but again, you know, it's not going to be perfect. But this wall comes in, we've got the furring on the inside, and it kind of turns back. So there's obviously an opening here, right? And then this goes all the way into a certain point. Okay, I'm just, for now, until I figure out what's happening on the inside, I'm just going to have this vestibule come and turn that direction. The other thing I'm a little worried about is I need to know, you know, there's a vestibule here, it has a roof on it, right? You know, how far does this opening go? Does it go the full 12 feet tall of the vestibule? Does it only go to 6 feet tall? Luckily we have a section, one on 803. So that opening, right, we have a storefront, a storefront that goes from here to the ceiling essentially. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about 4 courses down from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Again, I'm not going to figure this totally out right now, but I do know that in general, right, my door is going to go from the main level, right, and it's going to go up to a certain height, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 coursings down from the 12 feet, right? So it's if 144 inches minus 32 inches, yep, so 112 inches. So this door is 112 inches tall. Sorry guys. Hit my threshold today, I think. Okay. All right, so my intent with that is, how do I deal with these openings, right? And the answer is I've got storefront that's going to go on the inside and storefront that goes to the outside. I guess I am kind of in a roundabout way figure this out, right? And I'm going to go back to my floor plan. This is why it's kind of nice. I don't know if I'd print a full-size set, but I might print an 11 by 17 size set of this wireless set so that you can have a paper copy on your desk and then a digital copy so you can go back and forth a lot. What's that?
Paper copy on your desk.
Yeah.
So you highlight stuff.
Exactly. There you go. So my storefront goes from inside to inside, and it's kind of furred out. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose my wall, architectural, and I'm going to choose my storefront. It's going to go from main level. This one I'm not going to connect. I'm just going to make this unconnected, and it's going to be 112 inches tall. I don't even have to convert that, right, into feet and inches. And I'm going to kind of get it in the right spot again, right? Revit is just kind of getting things in the right spot and then altering them how you want them to be. And I'm going to use the Align tool, AL, and I'm going to align this to there. This is a little bit of a funny condition because ideally what you want this to do is you want this wall to kind of wrap in there and have this furring come down, right? But we have a storefront system here. So in terms of kind of the Revit world, normally what I would probably do here is I would edit the profile of this wall or create an opening and then put the storefront. We're, for now, just kind of keeping it simple. That doesn't quite look the way it should. But it's because we don't know any advanced commands yet to do that, right? So I know that the storefront goes from there to there, and I know the same thing is going to happen here. Okay, so we're going to put that there. And it looks a little odd, even just kind of how this one looks different from that one, right? But we're going to leave it for now. I don't have a roof, I don't have a floor, but I have, the outside boundary of my walls. I've got my little vestibule somewhat functioning, okay? Now the storefront, right? We've got a door and we have a little piece of just storefront there. So kind of my next task will be I'm going to assume they want to have a 3-foot door here. Right? Tab, unpin. I'm going to nudge it until I get a 3-foot opening. It might be bigger than that, actually. Anyway. And then to make this a door, I have to load a storefront door and change the panel to a storefront door. So, insert. Again, I'm recording all of this, right? So you can go back and look at it. But I'm going to go to doors and we want there. Panel, unpin it, change it to my door. It's not swinging the way I want it to, so I'm going to change that. Okay, and we want it to forward. I look at my 3D, that looks good. I don't like that mullion down there at the bottom, so I'm gonna unpin that. I'm gonna hit delete. And there's my door. Now my door isn't showing in my elevation view here, right? It's only showing in my floor plan view. That was, it's kind of a weird thing, right? So I see it here, but I don't see it there, right? And I've got the same door on the inside. So AL align. Ooh, this is probably pinned. I'm trying to tab, trying to grab that storefront grip. Hello, which is not allowing me.
What's that?
What's that?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no. Oh, that looks interesting. Is that water? Yeah? Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Tab, unpin it. AL, align, right? I'm an old hand at this, so I know, right? Okay, there we go. Tab. There we go. Finally got it. Unpin and change it to a door.
How did you move that over originally to the 3 feet?
I aligned it with this one.
No,
Oh.
the first one. How
Oh.
did you nudge that over?
I made a dimension and then I tab, and I grabbed the storefront curtain wall line and I nudged it with the arrow keys. Yep. I'm good. So now I look at it and I've still got a mullion down there, which I suspected, so I'm gonna delete, unpin.
You couldn't have copied the first one though?
No, it won't work because you're changing the panel. Oh, well, you could have created this whole thing and then copied it. Yeah, you could have done that. But I can't copy the door from here to there, no. Because it's a panel. In any other circumstance, you can copy doors and it works just fine. All right, so I've got my, I'm using dimensions to create. I've got my little vestibule created, right? I've got my main, wireless switch building created. I've got my grids created. I have, I've got a north now, east, south, west elevations created, which looks wonderful, right? I have a couple of sheets created, right? You could, I'll make a list of the sheets and you can add, all of your sheets in there and start bringing in views. I think I'll stop here for today. And then next time we meet, I'll get the floors in, I'll get the roofs in, and we'll try to make a good attempt to get the interior walls in. And then next week, once we have that in, we'll pull some building sections and do some call outs, right? And then you'll have to do annotation maybe kind of along the way, right? But then you'll have kind of a weekend, Wednesday through Sunday to kind of get annotation finished up, get it dimensioned and all that good stuff before it's due. Any questions so far? Okay, that's good.
Can I print off, do you want me to print